almost there. So, all right. So I'll let. So y'all talking about the tax stuff?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
All right. Should we sit or do you want to stand? How do you want to do this?
You're the boss, but we could try sitting.
Yeah, we could try sitting. All right. There we go. Boom, boom. All right. Okay. If you can't see, oh, there we go.
Good enough.
Good enough. All right. So, I think if in the next little while we can get all this stuff squared up, we might as well send it. So that, because we can always alter things, right? I don't think there's going to be perfection. But could we circle away, unless you guys are deep into the tax conversation, we could review the big PP right now.
Yeah, let's go for it.
We're not deep.
No.
Okay. Give me a second. I'm just going to make it so I can look at this and talk to you guys at the same time. All right, there we go. All right, so Los Santos County Business, the Big PP Act, entrepreneuring spirit, good introduction, good purpose statement, good justification, good details, application support and application submission is good. If there's anything in this that needs to change down the line, I think that's perfectly fine. What I am thinking actually is I was thinking we should add, they need to provide us with their transaction sheet.
Oh, like a template of what their record keeping form is.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Okay.
And that way we know that they're not starting a business up and they're already going to get screwed because they're not keeping transactions.
Can I make an alternative suggestion?
Yep.
Where we provide a template that they can choose to use or provide their own?
I think in the language in here, you should say either bring it or they're going to have to tell us that they'd like to use ours. And that should be a resource just that the COC has.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Actually, no. Mention, I think you should just say they should have it and let them come to us and be like, well, I don't know how to do this. And then we give it to them.
I love it. Yep.
That way it sticks to the language of like, this is legislation. You need this. And then, yeah. One thing I've been trying to be very proactive about when reviewing this stuff is ensuring that we don't have anything that is in here that ties us down to any administration work that may prevent them from making forward progress.
Yep.
I already see one little thing here.
Mhm.
In applicant support and application submission, section B. We unless we can have the current database of submitted applications wiped, it's just all these applications are going to filter into this giant pool of applications, and then circle back to the whole thing of us all agreeing that we should start from scratch on the submissions.
Well, the questions are going to change though, right? So we should be able to distinguish between old and new applications pretty simply.
Hold on. How are you going to change the questions on the tablet?
I'm assuming that's like a request we can make, right, Nino?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I assume that we could down the line, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
But I do think that they need to be coming forth with this, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, maybe for B, let's alter this up to must include this, and then wait, do you know how the application form looks like? I think you can.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I've done it before, but and then they all go into some pool that I think the mayor can see, but
Yes.
it's a clusterfuck right now, and we just need to start from scratch. I am adamant about that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. So it needs the name, owner, location image, logo image, and then in the description, I think is where we can detail where they put the answers for those. So under description, we could turn those into like the sub bullets and say name, citizen ID, phone number, business address, location on map, description of business, and then like, you know, the other things that we're looking for, we can have them put that in the submission.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a whole idea how that should work because I've done my share of assisting clients with business proposals and advising them on business proposals, and we should either how the website has that contact me section and people leave those comments, but a more fleshed out version with the categories we want, or B, Google form.
I think Google form is the way.
It's going to be in this submission where we say, do you have the template for your transactions, or will you be using the one provided in the link above? And we'll have the link there. Name of business, a lot of the fields that are in the tablet one, but the extra things that we definitely require.
Yeah, I think Google form is probably the way, rather than having all the bullet points with all the scope of the responses that we want in that description field stored somewhere else. Just have a link to the Google form they have to fill out, or alternatively provide them a fillable template, and in that description field all they do is upload a link where we can download that document.
What are the things that, oh, you're talking about like a business plan stuff?
Yeah, like if you look at B1B bullet point V, where it lists the scope of basically everything that we want to see in their business plan or business description.
So 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to think of like how to avoid. I'm contemplating to myself, are we overcomplicating? What if we don't care and just say, show us?
Well, I think some core questions are needed. Will this business require a brick and mortar? Do you intend to purchase a brick and mortar? What prospective location are you considering?
I think that all these things we should evaluate in person. Because and hear me out, and please do, like, you know, tell me if this is like, you know, that I'm wrong here. Is what if some of this stuff is too in depth, right? And instead we just kind of take the approach of like it's already going to be okay. So what we're going to learn, so if we look at like what are they able to submit today, right? They submit their name, they submit like who the owner is, the location, the logo, and then they already are putting in like some simple details like name, citizen ID, and a description of everything. Now, what if we just leave it at that and just say, you need to show us that you've got record keeping, and as a part of our approval process is that we meet with these individuals, right? And then we approve it. And
so I can tell you it's already a great idea, because I've worked for an agency in the past that required in-person consultation before an application was even decided upon.
Yes. And the reason I just to complete my thought, and then I want to hear what you have to say, Abilene, is I worry if we get too like serious, right? Like too like people are bozos in Los Santos, and like I feel like this might be too. They may feel it's too serious. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
And then maybe our concern should just be: is it good enough? Are you paying our tax money? Best of luck.
All right, here's the thing. I agree. Don't get too complicated and in depth, but also not too vague, because when you leave it too open ended, that's when people start to need to hire lawyers to do their business proposal. And I can tell you, doing a business proposal from scratch takes. I mean, if you sit down and start cracking at it, can take you 2 to 3 days to have something.
Yeah.
There's not enough lawyers available in the city for 20 people, 25 people to start reaching out to lawyers saying, hey, do my business proposal. Wow, yeah, that'll make the lawyers some money. I just feel like lawyers will take the money, say, yeah. And then people will be calling them like, hey, where's my proposal? I don't have it yet. Da, 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 da. Maybe some middle ground where even if they reach out to a lawyer, they could fill in the little details, but a section that's like, we need to let them know. I think Michael put it in here, their weekly projections. What is your starting employment roster, if any? What is your corporate structure? Are you going to, I don't know if we're going to entertain the idea of like partnerships. I think we should just stick with companies, but something like that. Include a section for an elevator pitch of the business and why there is a demand for this business and how it will benefit the economy of the city. Those are just some off the top of the dome things. I personally feel we should handhold on some of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think those things we should expect that they put into a slide deck or a document, and that is put into their description.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that's the solution to it. And because that way we're going to have every single business has a proposal in document as well.
Yeah.
How does that sound as a middle ground? Because I want to be real with you. I think when I hear Excel sheet, I'm just like, the less Excel, the better. But I'm down with PowerPoints and documents. Because if we have a document for everyone's like business proposal, that's dope.
I think to Abby's point, it's a balancing act, because as much as I would like to see businesses up and running, I would also like to see something like a consultant or a lawyer getting, meaningful work out of what we're trying to do here as well.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of a balancing act in that regard. I think it might be a little bit overcooked, and maybe it could be, the requirements could be slimmed down a little bit. But I do like the idea of them having to have a concrete plan in place.
Yeah, I agree with that. Right. Otherwise, we're just going to be
it's going to be Max all over again. Like send me your logo, because that's all you need to run a business, apparently. You know what I mean?
And then they just turn to shit, and then it's just like, what's the point? Yeah, you're going to have a bunch of defunct businesses. Okay, so how about this? How about all of these questions? Things, okay, so it says...
I've revised it.
You revised it?
Read it? Yeah,
okay. Can you make it clear? So logo, basic business plan, proof of ownership of property. Can you format this in a way where it's more aligned with the current business app?
Absolutely.
So like the different sections, so that when you get to description, we make it clear that these are the things that are supposed to be in the description.
Yeah.
And then I'll wait for you to just kind of format that, and then I'll hold on. I'll give you all the stuff, so you don't have to like keep pulling it.
My tablet.
Actually, I just thought of something. I have a business proposal template I created years ago, and I'll just share that in one of these rooms. Let me dig it out of my archives.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it. My tablet's pooched, so.
Oh, no worries. Look, I'll read it for you. All right. So on the business app, there's going to be the name. It's then going to have the owner state ID. That's another field. and then a location image. Then it's going to have a logo image. And then there's going to be a description. And then in said description, they should be denoting name, citizen ID, phone, business address, location on the map, description of the business, and then a link to business proposal in document or slide form. And then under that subsection, we put all these questions, things we expect in slide deck. And in that, or the description, like example transaction sheet.
Yep.
Please feel free to check the template I provided in draft legislation. If that sparks any ideas, I think it may, but this is how I used to begin my business proposals for clients. I created this, and then I would fill in the relevant fields, check everything over, and submit it. In Liberty City.
Oh, gotcha. Let's just let's take a look at that in
not
just a sec.
Liberty, maybe Vice City.
I gotcha. Yeah, I'm trying to like I think the way I'm looking at it is I think these are the ease of use is going to be the tough part, right? Cuz
Yeah.
I don't think we know yet, because we haven't really spoken to too many people, that how much where there what is it called where like the pressure needed to like pierce water or whatever, you know what I mean?
Surface tension.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like what's the surface tension level of like Los Santos mines when it comes to business? Because if the tension is too much, they may not be able to pierce it.
I'm gonna number one, I'm gonna get a new tablet so I can get a picture of the actual application. I'm gonna wireframe something, and then I'm gonna do something else with what Abby sent over. I'll present you with two options, and I think you just pick whatever one you think is best, and we'll go that route. It'll take me no longer than an hour.
For this?
Yeah.
Okay, good shit.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the next section?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. So business license and associated costs. Approved business applications will result in the applicant receiving a business license. Business license authorize applicant to lawfully operate only the business they have applied. Subsequent business applications. We need something in here is that it is as of starting on 9/1/2024. No, let's do 9/12. We'll give people 30 days. All businesses operating without a license are subject to it will be illegal, like something like that. You know what I mean? Now, what I will say is also put in there, this window of time is this grace period is being provided in order to ensure the grace period is going to be put in place so that, you know, people that don't have licenses have ample time to get them. And that the date could change depending on, you know, it could change once again. Like, we could update that date, but I think 30 days should be enough to get most businesses under the you know, banner. As for businesses that are like operating like on the yellow pages and stuff like that, we'll leave it up in the air. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, like I talked to Suarez, for example, yesterday, the guy selling lockpicks on the yellow pages. Like, like even businesses like that should be able to operate. Just like make some simple shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I want to like sort of like reharp on this, is that the fact of the matter is people are gonna bitch and complain. It's gonna happen because the fact of the matter is people want to just grind and buy shit, shoot shit, rob shit, just like the cops want to, you know, da. And we are bringing like foundation to stuff.
Yeah.
Which is why but heads up, I want Cyprus to win the first dispensary and the grow house because they're doing shit right.
Sure.
And those are the beacons we got to put up and be like, that's how you do it. Stop being a bitch.
Well, I think that's why we always default back to the lumber company, because they basically lead by example. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I like it. Okay, I cooked up D there to reflect what you just said. As long as you're good with that, I think we can move on.
We can move on, you said?
If you're good with D, what I typed up. Yeah.
Okay. I want that should be the clause 1A. Just so. Yep. Through businesses will result in. Each license will cost a one-time fee of $50,000. Okay. All right. Business zoning requirements. Businesses are required to operate out of a commercial and industrial. Exceptions may be made on a case-by-case basis. Applicants are required to explain in detail the reasons for the exception upon applying for the business license. Members of the Chamber of Commerce work with business owners to schedule site visits. Okay. For accounting and taxation, say, please refer to, and then we just need a name for the document from Abilene. Please refer to Los Santos County taxation legislation.
Yeah, I think we'll make up our own form code number. We're not going to say like 1040 or anything like that. We'll make up our own number for that.
Yep. Yeah, this way, by leaving it like vague and just pointing into it, they'll know there's another document that will cover all that.
Yep.
Enforcement.
I do want to say, if there is urgency to get this out in lieu of the taxation, what we could do is change it to all businesses will be subject to a 10% tax. And then when the taxation legislation is ready, we can amend this legislation to include what's there now, if you want to speed it up.
Sorry, say that one more time.
So if you want to submit this today to the DOJ, and Abilene and I aren't done with the taxation legislation, we could change 4 to all businesses will be subject to a 10% income tax.
No. I'd say let's try to bang out what we can today. I think that tax legislation shouldn't be more than a page. Like,
sure.
And in fact, as a heads up, I think at some stage we should actually simplify the way we're writing legislation. I think some of our writing is way too complicated. Like, it was something that I was thinking about is like, I think we can start simplifying things a little bit more. Like, the way that I think we've been writing it is we're like, okay, we got to make sure we cover this, this, and this. And we end up with a tree of all kinds of stuff, when in reality, it could probably be condensed. We don't have to do it now, but like, I'd say the tax code should be very simple. Like, all right. Enforcement. Business.
So are we going to need to include a clause that additionally also on 912 that record keeping for transactions needs to begin? Because I foresee phone calls like, well, does that mean on 912 that I'm going to have all my past taxes documented for that? I think we should just clarify that the grace period means you don't even need to start keeping records until 912.
No. What we would be doing if we did that, Abilene, is giving people, we don't want to, that's going to make people lazy and then fuck up when 912 comes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 912 is they need a business license. So once they have the business license, they should be operating. Let me read this.
Underneath the tax policy that we will have out by that time.
Exactly.
I just foresee maybe current businesses having questions like, oh, am I,
existing businesses to achieve compliance. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, they want to start doing it like ASAP. So business, what section were we on? Oh, enforcement.
We're
Enforcement
on 5 now. Yeah.
Enforcement of the rules, protocols, and regulations established by Big PP Act is to be handled by members of Los Santos County Cabinet and Chamber of Commerce, depending on the nature of violations. Members of the ownership. Okay, I think 5 is good. 6 is good.
We do need to come up with potential penal code additions, right?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a separate activity. I talked to Norman yesterday, and we had a bit of a back and forth about this. And specifically, we have the right to like create new laws in the legislation and prescribe a fine in time. But we both agreed that by prescribing it in the legislation, you're kind of like forcing us to keep the legislation up to date every time the penal code changes, which can happen like separately. So
Yeah,
instead, he's going to actually come up with like a template so you can propose it like similar to how we're proposing legislation. We'll be able to propose alterations and new stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would think that in the 3 days that it sits with the DOJ, while they're reviewing it, they should identify if there are any penal code changes that need to be made resulting from the legislation. Is that how it works now?
Wait, say that one more time.
So we send this legislation to the DOJ for review for 3 days, right?
Yeah.
When they conduct that review, do they also assess whether or not things need to change in the penal code?
No, I think they might. They may, but they also, I think they more or less are going to rely on us.
Okay.
So that's why even when we do most of the wording in the legislation, I say are subject to, that way keeping the door open for, you know, whatever charges and stuff are to come. Oh, we are crushing it right now. Yeah, once again, my the reason I'm so like dead set on us getting something out there is so like if there's any kickback on something, like we know where that pain point is. I've had so much like PTSD from like the past where we do like so much shit and then someone's like, nah.
Yeah.
No. And then it's like, fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you got to redo everything. You know what I mean? That and like literally like worst case scenario, this document may not be signed off on like 2 weeks.
Right. I hope that's not the case. 'Cause, I mean, talking with a lot of people, everyone's like I submitted an application. Is anyone going to look at it? And I was like, dude, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, if you think about it, DOJ hasn't touched anything since Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, like, I ain't trying to shit on them or nothing, like, right? Like, there's a lot there, but there's the reality of the matter is there's just so much lack of legislation that we're gonna be just burning the midnight oil, dumping stuff, but then they got to go review it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's just, you know. All right, so
This, I think, clause 7C is going to be most relevant to you because you had comments on felons owning a business. So I made it explicitly clear that that's the case. And then also provided the example that, you know, like if you have a history of terrorism or weapons charges, we're not going to let you manufacture weapons.
That
and
is
shit.
perfect. That is perfect.
One needs a revision.
Perfect. And we got taxation, business records, and auditing. Should we keep, I kind of like the idea of the tax code being separate.
Yeah, I do too. That's kind of what I've been.
This was pulled from bills. So I brought it over because it was related to general business, but I think it can be, if Abby wants to save a copy of this, I'll delete it from this and she could potentially incorporate bits and pieces of it into her legislation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like the effort here, but if I'm actually going to take lead on this in the
Go for it.
This, I feel like putting something here might be like a little toe stepping. Not that I care too much, but I think I can really get a more thorough.
1,000%. Because tax can get, even though I'm recommending that, I don't think we need more than half a page, really, of a starting tax code, right? Where we're just saying, look, you got to submit your taxes, you know, once a week. It can be delayed up to 2 weeks. Right? We'll give up to 2 weeks, right? Before it's delinquent. 4 weeks, you're now up for termination, right? Kind of thing. That it's 10% baseline, you know, just very like simple language of like, you look at this, we owe this, this is how you do it, this is how you can get fucked. And by keeping it simple, it's gonna train the populace, right? We don't want to overwhelm them with like you said, Abby, like a 1099 or something.
Although I have seen in my adventures in the city, quite a few people like wish or express that there was more roles for like accounting type things, like Excel nerds. Now, I'm not saying they're like 1 out of 5, but every here and there, like there's people who love doing this stuff.
I get that, but the thing is, as much as I want to create more job opportunities for folks like that, my experience in the city has been, and I'll give you an idea. The tax code used to be so fucking dumb because the judges that came in and implemented this like insane tax code that was so complicated is that nobody did their taxes because there was only 3 accountants, and if they never showed up, they couldn't pay their taxes, and it became like not fun to run a business anymore. You know what I mean? And then no one did their tax, and then no taxes existed anymore. So it should like, that's why I want like it to be as simple as, this is my business, it's 10%. I tell them how much my revenue was, how much my costs were, how much was my revenue, how much was my fucking costs, Here's the net revenue. This is the tax. Boom. You know, and that's it. Like, you know what I mean? Just very, very simple reporting.
And I can even provide a very simple guideline how businesses can calculate that, so there's no confusion.
I would say they
fucking calculator on lossantos.me.
I wouldn't even. I'd make it simple. It should just be in the tax submission form.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. They just literally enter net revenue, costs, you know, tax rate. It auto calculates it. Submit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Easy. And then a section perhaps to provide an image link of like proof of income, where they snapshot the bank account, something, so we can
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So we don't have to look through the transaction log.
Yeah, it'll have a date on it and stuff like that. We can see it, proof of income,
Okay.
proof of cash transactions. If they have some pile of cash in a barrel somewhere, you know.
Well, so we're not going to look at their transactions, right? Only.
But yeah, no, just the overall account, because if you have the business account, all the amount in there should be revenue. It shouldn't be a savings account for anyone unless they mark it as like an investment from someone else, and then they can have a section. Is any amount?
Call you back, okay?
Is any portion of this amount
just in a meeting? I'll call you
money
back, okay?
in your business? If that case happens,
Yeah,
then
let's not even go down that
Yeah,
line, Abby. See, that sounds like it's already getting complicated. Like,
okay.
Just even getting 10% from folks is gonna be a challenge. If we start asking them to do all these other things, like, it starts to scare me, you know?
Understood. Then one simple thing for them to provide any proof of incomes they feel are relevant to the inputs they're providing. Okay.
When you say proof of income, like, what do you mean by that exactly?
Well, a chronological snapshot of their.
Are you saying
business...
prove that their business has actually got transactions coming through? Is that what you mean?
Well, yeah. So if they're saying, "Oh, I only made 100,000," okay.
Oh.
But they're really making a quarter.
No. That's not going to be a problem, because the way that this should be working is that we're getting the income. However, it's going to be law enforcement that if they believe, like, we're not the IRS, right? We're just getting the money. I think down the line, we could go down the line of, like, you know, asking, opening up the door for, like, tax evasion and stuff like that.
Okay.
But right now, I think that's all in the bucket of the marshals and law enforcement.
At the very least, a section where they just type in their business account number, so we have that reference on file.
That I like. Yeah. Let businesses, like, you know, I think if businesses decide that they're going to do some sketch shit, like, that's up to law enforcement. And then like, the amount they're taxing us is like a line that law enforcement can use.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I totally imagine there's going to be people underreporting and stuff like that. But the other thing too is, like, I think once we enter into, like, law enforcement related stuff, give me one sec. I think Pip is bored. All right, just locked it.